Hi, everyone. Good morning to you in Arizona. Good afternoon to you elsewhere on the East Coast and wherever you might be. Welcome to week 3 of microbiology. So, I know it can seem strange to think of microorganisms and especially one cell bacteria as living organisms. Um, which are on one level at least no different from humans. I mean, the very basic biological purpose of the human is to propagate the species. Likewise, the very basic biological purpose of the bacterium is to propagate the species. So bacteria respire, they breathe, I should say they exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide, they ingest nutrients, they metabolize those nutrients, they excrete, and they reproduce just like humans. The point is that in order to do all that living stuff, bacteria need genes like, well, you and I do. Now, bacteria carry their main genes on a single circular chromosome. Humans have 23, two pairs of 23, a total of 46. And our chromosomes are linear. And so this week we take a look at microbial metabolism and bacterial genetics. And we'll examine first how bacteria can manufacture the energy necessary to do all that living organism stuff. And second, how bacteria can transfer characteristics, like, for example, antibiotic resistance, to their offspring. We call the offspring progeny. So I've provided links to two videos to help you understand the concepts in Chapter 4. The first video describing the central dogma. Remember, that's the movement or the transfer of genetic information from double-stranded DNA to single-stranded messenger RNA to protein. And that plays true for all organisms, whether you're an animal, a plant, or a bacterium. And the second video explains the three methods, actually 4 methods of gene transfer. So this week we touch on 3 topics from 3 different chapters. First is microbial metabolism, that's chapter 6. So all of life is dependent upon a constant supply of energy, and of course the ultimate source of all energy is the sun. And you are, I'm certain, familiar with photosynthesis. Now, that's a process where plants and some photosynthetic bacteria, cyanobacteria, absorb energy from the sun by way of photons. Those are discrete units of light energy, and they turn that into chemical energy, which is then used by the rest of us, including bacteria, to do all of our living stuff. So you learn about the chemical energy. We call it ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and how bacteria are able to harness it to do their living stuff. And chapter 7 is a blueprint of life. Now, your genome, that's a new term, is a sum total of all of the genes that make you who you are. Now, everything that you are, that you think, that you do is governed by your genes. We call that genome, and our genomes are wrapped up in those things we call chromosomes. And our chromosomes are made of DNA. And again, the central dogma describes how genes in DNA are turned into protein, or that stuff, that living stuff that makes us who we are. So you learn about DNA, RNA, genes, and proteins. And again, as I said, how the central dogma is true for every living organism. So I posted a short video explaining the central dogma below. I haven't posted it yet, but I just thought about this handout, kind of reviewing the major points of the central dogma. Chapter 8 is bacterial genetics, and as much as we humans try to maintain stability and familiarity within our environments are forever in flux. It's never, we never have a consistent outdoor temperature of 72 degrees, right? It's always in flux. There's more light in one part of the day than there is on the other part of the day. It gets cold in the winter, it gets hot in the summer, so our environments are continuously in flux. Sometimes we don't even notice the changes unless something like a natural disaster happens, or if a change happens in us, we get sick, right? We get the flu, or we get COVID, or even just a cold. Then we kind of notice how our internal milieu is not not steady, not stable. So microorganisms are no different. Bacteria are constantly adjusting in order to survive. They're continually changing environments as well. So you learn about mutations. That's the fuel for natural selection and how bacteria evolve very rapidly to survive and reproduce in their constantly changing environments. Housekeeping for the week: make your discussion post early in the week so you can fully engage in the discussion. Of course, the cutoff for your initial discussion post is Friday at 11 p.m. Some of you are waiting until Friday at 10:30 p.m. to do your initial discussion post. That does not give you enough time, or your peers enough time, to interact with you fully concerning the discussion. The earlier in the week you make your initial post, the more chance that the rest of us can interact with you regarding your discussion post. Also, if you wait until Sunday, remember the rule is, and this is a GCU rule, 2 peer responses over the course of 3 different days for a total of 6 peer responses, or 6 response posts. That's a GCU rule in order to earn your 20 participation points at the end of the week. If you wait until Sunday to do all 6 of your peer responses, I cannot give you full credit for that because you're not following the GCU rule. So you have to make your peer responses throughout the week. That is properly participating in discussion. If you properly participate in discussion, then you get full discussion participation points. Otherwise, I have to dock you. Just be aware of that going forward. Also, some of you need to review my guidelines. It's in class resources. It's a PDF document. My guidelines for discussion posts and peer responses. Very quickly, they must be substantive, 150 words, at least 150 words total, and at least one authoritative reference properly cited within the text of your post. Someone asked me about textbooks. You can use a textbook as a reference. But, for example, if you have more than one reference, if you have 2 or 3 or more references, only one can be a textbook. I used to say my students can only use Nestor's, our textbook, but it doesn't matter. You can use other textbooks if you find them more to your liking. However, only one of your references out of 2 or 3 or however many you have can be a textbook. All right, so you can't have 3 references and each one of them is a textbook. Only one textbook. Which also leads me to say this: you're better off if you track down a peer-reviewed journal article, a timely, within the last 10 years, peer-reviewed journal article to back your post up. All right? Some students just can't deal with the thought of finding a journal article. Go to the GCU library. I have a video tutorial on doing just that in class resources. Check it out. Those are the most authoritative references that you can ever use in academia, a peer-reviewed journal article. So just be aware of that. Okay. Microbial metabolism and genetics assignment or homework, and microbial metabolism and genetics quiz. Both are due no later than Sunday, September 29th. That's an old date. Both are due no later than this coming Sunday, which is the 16th. Okay, 11:59 p.m. GCU time. Your initial discussion post due no later than Friday. All right. Two videos there. If you have any questions, comments, message me at 422-97993. Use your Halo inbox or message box, and certainly you can email me as well. I think that may be it for the moment. Let me know what's going on, and have a great rest of your week. One more thing. I will be updating your grade books. I have to transfer. So I made an announcement about this before, but just to remind you, if you look in your grade book right now, you'll see a big red overdue banner. I have to manually transfer grades from Connect to Halo. Until I do that, you're going to see that overdue banner. I'm getting ready to do it right now, but just be aware of that. Once I transfer your grade over, the overdue banner will disappear and your grade book will update. All right, so that's it. Have a good week.